Dear friend, I want to ask you one question. What would you do if you knew exactly what was coming in the next 5 years? Well, today I'm about to share a story with you that might answer that question. A 15-year-old girl from Boston died in a traffic accident. For 4 minutes she was gone. But in those 4 minutes she was shown 3 major events that will happen before 2030. When I heard her story, I couldn't sleep for 2 days. Not because I was afraid, but because I realized we're not powerless. There's something we can all do right now to prepare. So please, I want you to stay and listen to what she was shown and how we can prepare for us not to be victims of this horrible events that is coming. Before I share this testimony with you, please let us know where you are listening in the comments section, so that our prayer team can continue to put you and your family in prayer. Also, if you have any personal prayer point, you can also drop in the comment. We will pray together with you. Also, don't forget to like this video so that YouTube can show this video to as many that will need to listen to this powerful message. If you have done that, may God bless you. Now relax and listen. My name is Zephyrin Atlas Morgan, but everyone calls me Zeph. I'm 15 years old, and on the evening of September 9th, I died in a car accident 3 blocks from my apartment in Boston. I am schooling at Boston Latin Academy. I spent way too much time arguing with people on Twitter. My parents were both professors at Boston University. Dad taught history and Mom taught chemistry. I had one older sister, Iris, who was 18 and heading to college. That Tuesday started like any other day. I woke up late, rushed through breakfast, argued with Iris about who left the bathroom a mess, and barely made it to school on time. My biggest worry was the algebra test next period and whether my crush, Maya, would sit with me at lunch. After school, I was walking to CVS to get supplies for a project. I was looking at my phone, texting Maya about homework, not really paying attention. I stepped off the curb on Boylston Street when the light turned. I didn't see the car running the red light. I heard the screech of tires. Then everything went silent. The weird thing was I didn't feel any pain. 1 second I was stepping into the crosswalk, the next second I was floating about 10 feet above the street, looking down at my body lying on the pavement. People were running toward me. Someone was screaming. A man was on his phone, probably calling 911. I tried to yell that I was okay, that I was right here, but nothing came out. My body just lay there, twisted in a way that didn't look right. Blood was pooling under my head. I saw my phone a few feet away, screen cracked. Then I felt something pulling me upward. Not like being dragged, more like when you're underwater and you naturally float up. I stopped trying to look at my body and just let it happen. Everything around me started getting brighter. The street, the buildings, the sky, everything began to glow with this warm light. It wasn't like sunlight that hurts your eyes. It was soft and comfortable, like the light in your room early in the morning. I was moving through something that looked like fog, but it wasn't cold or wet. I could see shapes in it, lights moving around. And I wasn't scared. That's the strange part. I should have been terrified, but I felt calm. Actually, I felt better than calm. I felt safe in a way I'd never felt before in my whole life. The fog cleared and I was standing in a place that I can't really describe properly. It looked like I was on solid ground, but when I looked down, I could see through it like glass. Below me were stars and galaxies, like I was standing in the middle of space. Above me was just pure light. That's when I saw him. I knew it was Jesus right away, even though I'd never really thought much about religion before. My family celebrated Christmas and Easter, but we didn't go to church. I'd never read the Bible except for that one time in English class. But when I saw him, I just knew. He didn't look exactly like the pictures I'd seen. He was tall and the light seemed to come from inside him. His face was kind, and when he looked at me, I felt like he could see everything about me. All the times I'd been mean to Iris, all the times I'd lied to my parents, all the times I'd ignored homeless people on the street. But I also felt loved. Like he saw all of that and still wanted me there. He told me my name. Just hearing him say Zephyrin made me start crying. Not because I was sad, but because it felt like coming home after being lost for a really long time. I asked him if I was dead. He explained that my body was still alive, barely, but that he needed to show me something important. Something I needed to remember and tell others about when I went back. He took my hand, and when he did, I saw my whole life flash in front of me. Not just the big moments like birthdays and vacations, but tiny things I'd completely forgotten. Like the time I shared my lunch with a kid in 3rd grade who forgot his. Or when I helped my neighbor Mrs. Rodriguez carry her groceries up the stairs. But I also saw the bad stuff. When I spread a rumor about a girl in my class. When I stole $5 from my dad's wallet. When I told Iris I hated her during a fight. The amazing thing was that through all of it, good and bad, I could feel his love. It didn't change based on what I did. It was just there, constant and strong. He told me he needed to show me things that were coming. Not to scare me, but so I could help people get ready in their hearts. Everything around us changed. We were suddenly standing in what looked like a huge library, but instead of books on the shelves, there were scrolls made of light. Angels were there, lots of them, but they didn't look like the pictures with wings and halos. They looked like regular people, but brighter, if that makes sense. They were pulling scrolls off the shelves and reading them. Some of them looked sad, others looked hopeful. One angel, who seemed to be in charge, was writing something down in a massive book on a table in the center of the room. Other angels were gathered around, watching. Jesus explained to me that this was where decisions about the earth were being written down. Not like God was punishing people, but like the choices humans made had consequences that were being recorded. The angels' job was to help where they could and to prepare for what was coming. He told me to watch carefully. He explained that I would see 3 major things that would happen before 2030. The first thing I saw was water. Lots of water. Oceans were rising up onto land. I saw cities I recognized from pictures. Miami, New York, even parts of Boston where I lived. The water was in the streets, in the subway tunnels, flooding into buildings. I could feel how scared the people were. Jesus explained that the earth was changing faster than people expected. The ice at the poles was melting quicker. Island nations would be in trouble first, but then coastal cities everywhere would have problems. He said this wasn't him punishing anyone. It was just what happens when people don't take care of the planet he made for them. But then he showed me something beautiful in the middle of all that fear. I saw neighbors helping neighbors. People who had never talked before were working together to save each other. Churches and mosques and temples were opening their doors to give people shelter. Countries that usually didn't get along were sending help to each other. He told me that sometimes it takes hard times to make people remember how to love each other. When things are easy, people forget. But when things get difficult, hearts often open up. The scene around us changed again. This time we were standing in what looked like a war room, but instead of generals and soldiers, there were angels around a table. On the table was a glowing map of the earth. One angel was pointing to different spots on the map where lights were going out. Other angels were placing what looked like small flames in certain places. Jesus told me to watch what would happen next. The second vision appeared. I saw cities going dark. Not just 1 or 2, but many cities around the world. The power was out. People's phones didn't work. Computers were dead. Everything that ran on electricity just stopped. He explained that the systems people built had become too complicated and too fragile. People had started depending on them for everything. There would come a time when these systems would break down for a while. It wouldn't be forever, but it would be long enough to change things. At first, in the vision, people were panicking. I saw crowds of people trying to get food and water. But then something shifted. People started coming out of their apartments and houses. They talked to neighbors they'd never met. They shared what they had. Kids played outside in the streets instead of staring at screens. At night, people sat together and told stories. Jesus explained that when all the noise and distraction goes away, people can finally hear him again. He said a lot of people who had forgotten about God would remember during this time. Not because he caused the blackout, but because sometimes you have to lose something to realize what really matters. The angels in the war room were still watching the map. The small flames they had placed earlier were growing bigger and spreading. Jesus told me those flames were people's faith. They were prayers. They were love. We moved to a different place. This time it looked like a hospital, but bigger than any hospital I'd ever seen. There were angels dressed like doctors and nurses rushing around. Some were carrying what looked like medicine. Others were holding people's hands. There was a feeling of urgency in the air. An angel who seemed to be in charge called everyone together. She showed them a chart with numbers and graphs that I didn't understand. The other angels looked worried. But then the angel in charge said something that made them all nod and get back to work. Jesus told me they were preparing for what was coming next. The third vision was the hardest to watch. I saw people getting sick. It wasn't COVID, which we'd all been through. This was something different. In the vision, people were afraid to be near each other again. Masks came back. Schools closed. But this time there was something darker underneath it all. The fear was bigger than it needed to be. Some people were using the fear to control others, to make them afraid of their neighbors. Jesus told me that a new sickness would come. But the bigger problem would be the fear itself. Fear would make people turn against each other. It would make them suspicious and mean. Some leaders would use this fear to get power. But even in this scary vision, I saw hope. I saw doctors and nurses working day and night to help people. I saw neighbors leaving food on each other's doorsteps. I saw people refusing to let fear make them hate each other. And most importantly, I saw people praying. Not just in churches, but everywhere. In homes, in hospitals, in parks, on street corners. The prayers looked like light rising up into the sky, all connected to each other. Jesus turned to look at me. He told me that these three things I saw, the floods, the blackouts, and the sickness, weren't the point. The point was how people would respond. Some would get angry and blame God. Others would turn toward God and find comfort. What mattered was what people chose to do with their fear. He explained that he wasn't showing me these things to scare me. He was showing me so I could tell others that there's hope even in bad times. The hope isn't in having a lot of supplies or a perfect plan. The hope is in having love in your heart, in staying connected to other people, and in keeping your faith strong. Then he took my hand again and we were suddenly standing in front of something that looked like a giant spider web, but made of pure light. Each strand of the web was glowing. Some strands were bright, others were dim. They were all connected to each other in complicated patterns. Jesus told me each strand was a prayer. He touched one strand and it lit up super bright. The light traveled along all the connections, making other strands glow too. It spread out like a ripple in water. He told me this was a prayer I'd said 2 weeks ago. I'd prayed for my grandmother who was sick. I thought nothing had happened because she was still sick. But he showed me that my prayer had helped her in ways I couldn't see. It had given her strength to get through a really bad day. It had also touched the nurse taking care of her, making the nurse more patient and kind. And it had even helped me without me knowing it, making me want to call my grandmother more often. He explained that every single prayer matters. Even the small ones. Even when we don't see results right away. Prayers create ripples across dimensions we can't see. In the hard times coming, prayer wouldn't just be nice to have. It would be necessary. We stood there for a while. Being near Jesus felt so peaceful and perfect. I'd never felt anything like it in my life. Everything that usually worried me, school, friends, my appearance, my future, all of it just disappeared. All that mattered was being there with him. I asked if I could stay. I told him I didn't want to go back to my regular life. He looked at me with so much kindness. He told me that this place was my real home and one day I would come back for good. But right now I had work to do. I had a purpose. I asked what purpose. He said I needed to be a light for others. I needed to share what I'd seen. I needed to help people prepare their hearts, not with fear but with hope. A lot of people would go through the coming times scared and alone if people like me didn't speak up about what's on the other side of suffering. I started crying. Leaving that perfect peace felt impossible. The thought of going back to my body, which was probably broken and hurt, seemed unbearable. He promised he wouldn't leave me. Even when I couldn't see him like this, he would be with me. He said that now that I'd been there, part of me would always remember the way home. He hugged me. It felt like being wrapped in the warmest, safest blanket ever, but a million times better. Like every good feeling I'd ever had all at once. I felt his love fill up all the empty, broken parts of me. Then he told me it was time. I said I was scared. He said being scared was okay. Being brave doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you do what you need to do even when you are scared. And he'd be with me the whole time. There was a rushing feeling like being sucked through a vacuum cleaner. Then suddenly, pain. So much pain. My whole body hurt. I couldn't breathe. There was something over my mouth and nose. I heard sirens. People talking in urgent voices. I opened my eyes and saw the roof of an ambulance. A paramedic was leaning over me checking something. When she saw my eyes open, she grabbed my hand. She told me I was going to be okay. She said I was back. Back but not the same. I spent a week in the hospital. The doctors said I'd had a serious head injury and internal bleeding. They said it was a miracle I survived. One doctor said that based on how long I was without oxygen, I should have had brain damage. But all the tests came back normal. My parents barely left my side. Iris held my hand and cried. She told me she was sorry for every fight we'd ever had. I told her the same thing. When I was finally alone with my parents, I told them everything. About Jesus, about the visions, about what was coming. I was afraid they'd think I was crazy. Mom's a scientist. Dad's a historian. They deal in facts and evidence. But they didn't laugh or dismiss me. Dad actually cried. Mom held my hand really tight. They told me they believed me. Mom said she'd seen too many things in her career that science couldn't explain. Dad said that history was full of people who'd had experiences like mine. When I got home, everything looked different. The colors seemed brighter. The sounds seemed clearer. Even annoying things like construction noise outside or Iris playing music too loud didn't bother me as much. I found myself noticing people more. Really seeing them. The tired cashier at Star Market. The lonely old man feeding pigeons in the common. The stressed student at the library. I started having more dreams. Jesus would appear and continue teaching me things. Sometimes he'd show me more about what's coming. Other times he'd explain things about love or faith or how to help people. I started writing everything down in a journal. At school, some kids heard about my near-death experience. A few asked questions. Others avoided me like I was weird. Some made jokes calling me Jesus girl and stuff like that. But it didn't bother me. When you felt perfect love, other people's opinions don't hurt as much. My friend Kayla was the first person I really opened up to about everything. She cried and told me she'd been praying for me in the hospital. She said she'd never prayed so hard in her life. I wondered if her prayers were one of those glowing strands I'd seen. I started a small group that meets at my house. Just a few people at first. Kayla, 2 other kids from school, and Mrs. Rodriguez from downstairs. We talk about real stuff. Not just school and gossip, but what matters in life. We talk about faith, about being ready for hard times, about how to love people better. Now about 12 people come regularly. I don't tell everyone everything I saw. Some people aren't ready for it. And that's fine. Jesus didn't show me those visions to make me special or to terrify people. He showed me so I could give people hope and help them focus on what matters. If you're listening to this and you're scared about the future, please don't be. That's not why I'm sharing my story. What I learned while I was dead is that love is stronger than anything. Stronger than floods, stronger than blackouts, stronger than sickness, stronger than fear. The things I saw coming aren't the end of the world. They're part of something bigger that we can't fully understand from here. Yes, hard times are coming. But hard times also bring out the best in people. What matters isn't having a basement full of supplies, though being prepared is smart. What matters is building up your reserves of love. Making your connections with people stronger. Finding your faith. Because when the floods come, when the power goes out, when fear tries to separate us, love is what will get us through. Not just human love, but the divine love I felt. The love that holds all of us, whether we know it or not. I know this message will not be in vain. Please take all I have said very seriously. The year may be far, but know that we don't have time. Prepare yourself and family. Thank you for listening. If this testimony has blessed you, please kindly give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you have any question, you can leave it in the comments section, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel for more this testimonies coming your way. Remain blessed.